as I was preparing for it, I was realizing, wow, this is something so good. It's bringing things out in me that otherwise maybe would not have been brought out, you know. So I do want to thank you. I want to thank, you know, Women for Success, really, for, you know, for inviting me to be able to speak today. Yeah. And I wanted to just say a couple of things about Women for Success and how it's inspired me, you know, before I even talk about the topic today. You know, what I really appreciate is that it cares. If there's a woman out there who's suffering, you know, and you want to do what you can to see if you can be of any of assistance, you know, and that's so fantastic. I'm happy that I found, you know, found you guys, and, you know, you help advocating for them, and either in courthouses or to get food and housing and clothes and financial assistance, and even small business startup, and, you know, counseling, and, you know, and even help with the children and everything, the children of the women. And so these are also beautiful things that I'm so grateful for. And you know, let's see, you also fill in where other organizations either can't or won't, you know, by just being there and listening, and, you know, creating great experiences with women and celebrating with women, and, you know, being a friend, having that human friend element in there that, you know, can do so much more good for women who are on their path to healing, you know. So yeah, so I wanted to mention those things. And another thing I love is that you're a peer run organization. And so I love that, because what I understand about the peer run organization is that it bases its premise on that everyone has something of benefit to share with others. You know, we may all come from different walks, but our experience of abuse and our desire to rise above it to a better life is what unites us. And I wanted to point out that also, you know, even though that we come from different walks of life, each and every one of us is a gloriously magnificent being in our own right. And, you know, we could be rich or poor, or, you know, formally educated, or educated through the school of hard knocks. But no matter who we are, you know, we all have value and worth, and we all have a story to tell and wisdom to share for the benefit and upliftment of others. And this ties into what I believe personally, and what I believe is that the purpose of everyone is to, you know, share with each one another, you know, to learn and share that which we are learning. And that way we all grow simultaneously, you know, and that's pretty much what describes, I would say, a peer-based organization. And I love that about Women for Success. And it makes me confident, actually, that this is the type of organization that it is, because, you know, I'm kind of ordinary when it comes to, say, my background of work. Like, I've basically always worked, for the most part, like entry-level jobs, and worked for the most part like, um, you know, minimum wage. And my education, I did complete high school. I got a couple of diplomas or certificates of completion of certain topics, and I've recently gotten my associates of science in health and human services. And so, you know, that's a topic that's near and dear to my heart, health and human services, because of what has happened to me, a strange twist of events that have happened to me in my life that actually led me to uh, end up homeless. And then I actually went on to being 7 years, cumulatively like 7 years homeless out of a 10-year period. And if you know anything about chronic homelessness, it has its effect. It can do a number on your head. And, you know, but blessings can be found in difficult moments also. And that's when I found Health and Human Services. which helps. It helps homeless people. It helps in many ways, and they've helped me, and I was very grateful for that. And that's what inspired me, and that's what made me want to study health and human services, because I love the idea of helping other people too. I think that's all part of our healing process as well, that we that we include, that we want to care, that we focus our focus outward and help others. Yeah. So, so I would like to now then get into the topic of today, and that is PTSD. What is it, and how we can be helped, or how we can help others? So, PTSD is post-traumatic stress disorder. It's a condition. What it is it's a condition that affects a certain percentage of people who served in the military. And it affects everyday people who've gone through something called a traumatic experience. So a traumatic experience is an experience that is just too much for someone mentally or emotionally. And as a result, it makes life difficult. It can make life difficult to manage. And so actually, I've experienced traumatic experiences. And unfortunately, a lot of people have. And so, one type or another. So in my case, what happened is I had to flee a marriage of 21 years. It had been wrong. It had been bad for a long time, but at the end, he was pretty much like threatening to kill me in my sleep. And so I wasn't feeling safe there anymore. So I knew I had to leave. And this was all happening precisely at the time when my back gave out on me. And that made it that I couldn't walk. So then long story short, what happened is I ended up homeless in California. Yeah. And so what happened then I was miles away from my home state, and I didn't know where to get help, and I was all alone, and I had no money, and I was unable to walk. So with all these things, all these things accumulated, the fear that I felt at that moment was enough to make me, I felt like that alone was going to kill me. But I did take courage in the thought that if God, cares for and protects other homeless people, well, I choose that he, she, it will do the same for me. And I asked that of God as I understood God. Yeah. And so that really helped, for me to take courage. So that was several years ago, and I've actually been housed for several years. And but what I noticed is there was this growing thoughts that became darker, emotions that became more negative. Even though I was removed now from that difficult experience, and these thoughts were just kind of not leaving me alone, so much so that it got to the point where I was contemplating taking my own life. And I had the plan, and it was growing difficult to resist carrying out that plan. So I became desperate, really, because I want to live, and so that's when I was just searching for everything, everywhere, anywhere, for answers, for solutions, and I did come up with a lot of things over the years, actually. One is I wanted to look into PTSD and find out what that was, and do I have it, and if there's any help for it. The concept that I want to stay alive. The reason why, I have two reasons that have come to my mind recently why I want to stay alive. It's because I've learned a lot throughout my life, and searching for answers and learning and growing. And so at this point, I believe I do have things that I can share and help people with. And I know that there are a lot of people, young people, and all other kinds of people who are probably feeling about as lost as I felt when I graduated from high school. I didn't know what to do with myself, or where to go, or what to do. It was a terrible feeling. So, my life has pretty much been dedicated to finding answers for myself. And now at this point in my life, I feel a responsibility to share what I've learned. I don't want to keep that to myself. And then the other reason why, that I would like to stay alive is because I have a beautiful granddaughter and I have 3 children, 3 adult children, whom I love all so dearly. And so I would never want to do something to, discourage them or hurt them or disappoint them. So, so that, and so I want to now describe a little bit about PTSD. And so what I've learned is there are 5 types of PTSD, and there are 4 what they call clusters, which is like a reaction that we have because we've been through a traumatic experience. And so instead of talking about the 5 different types of PTSD today, I'd like to just talk about the 4 clusters. And so the one is that of the increasing dark thoughts and feelings. So that's one. And the second would be intrusive memories. So what that is like me, I can go about my day, everything's fine, something happens, it reminds me of something from my past, and then it causes me to all of a sudden feel a flood of negative emotions and feelings, and I even flinch my body. And I know that looks really weird, as I know some people have noticed, and they're just like, whoa, what's going on? So that is one of various examples of intrusive memories. And then there's something called avoidance, and what that is people who are suffering from PTSD, they could be they automatically want to avoid any thought or any conversation about the past. And so that's an indication that they could be suffering from PTSD. And the fourth of the 4 clusters is changes in reaction. So what that in reactions, and so what that means is examples. Okay, some examples could be startling easily. It could be being on your guard even when you're in a safe place. You may notice people who might be doing this, and other examples would be drinking too much alcohol or driving too fast. So these are just some examples. So I figure I'll just talk lightly, and so that was about the 4 clusters. And so, which leads to the next question is there help? And thankfully, yes. And there are lots of solutions, and there are lots of, say, tools that we can use to help us, to get to better thinking, to be healed, to get to feel, feeling better, or to just cope with it, to know how to cope with it better, so that we can just continue with our lives in a better way, more positively. And so off the top of my head, I came up with, I think, 7 different things that can help people. And that is, one would be meditation and positive affirmations. And I know that Suzanne Reisen-Bigler has had a talk about that in the past. And I saw that on the online on the website of Women for Success. So that really inspired me. I actually contacted Suzanne and I asked her if she could come today, and for the last bit of the talk, if she could lead us in a 5-minute guided meditation, because they're very calming and they help us to reach an inner peace. So, this is a very valuable thing, the meditation and positive affirmations. Another thing that I can suggest is studying metaphysics. I'm actually studying that right now. I've been studying it. And what that is, because a lot of people don't know what that is, which is a terrible travesty that people don't know what it is, but I'll help you understand what it is it has to do with, it uses things like meditation, positive affirmations, and things like this. It also has tools and techniques to help get us out of, say, negative thinking and in towards more healthy thinking, and to just, train our minds, take better control of our minds. And so that I recommend that as another, help and tool and aid for people who are suffering with PTSD. A third would be distance yourself from any situation or people who are not, they're truly not supportive of you. And maybe a lot of people can understand that it's very damaging to be around people who truly do not support you as a human being. So I recommend that, distancing yourself. Another would be counseling, because in counseling, there's the opportunity for people to talk and get things off their chest, try to, organize what might be going on inside their minds. It's a safe environment where you'll be emotionally and mentally safe, where the counselor is there to be of assistance. So I think that's a good remedy to help. And also another example can be joining an online group. And I found on Facebook, there's a group, it's called Women with PTSD. And what groups do is they offer comfort. They offer a friendship, even though it's a bit of a long distance one. I've found them to be quite comforting. And a person can also do an online search and put in to the search online chat groups, PTSD, and you'll see a list of these types of groups. I've joined one, and they really are uplifting and encouraging. So I recommend that. And then another one is hypnotherapy counseling. This is another one that comes to mind, that Suzanne, she is certified as a hypnotherapist counselor. And so I would recommend that. In fact, if Suzanne were here right now, I could ask her a little bit about what that is and how it benefits people. Is she here on the call today? Do you know? She is?
Yes,
Suzanne?
I'm here. Yeah.
Yeah, you're here. Yeah, I didn't get a chance to see who all was here.
Oh,
Would you be able to help us understand a little bit about the hypnotherapy counseling and the benefit?
yes. Well, just briefly, what hypnotherapy does is it bypasses the 5% of our conscious mind that we use, like the mind that is thinking and making decisions and organizing and figuring out things and feeling things. That is only 5% of our brain. 95% is our subconscious mind. So you can imagine it's like it's like an iceberg. When you only see 5% of the iceberg and underneath is this big, huge mass, that's what our subconscious mind is. So if there is some kind of healing or trauma or issue that has been shown to us in our conscious, like our waking state, that we either want to work on, or it's like we're like, oh, I got to do this. It is so much quicker to access our subconscious mind and work through it that way. And it's actually like, it's kind of like if you keep the house, but you lift it up and you put in a whole new foundation that's solid. It's like that house is rock solid and it's not going anywhere. That's kind of what hypnotherapy is like. It changes your foundation so that
Right.
and maybe even in ways that you don't see or realize, but it comes out in small changes, like you don't even think about, oh, I'm not worried about that anymore. And maybe 6 months later, it's like, why haven't I thought about that? I used to think about that, 8 times a day. And now you don't, because it's been cleared with your subconscious. And so sometimes you're not even aware of it. So that is why I personally, I really feel it is so valuable to work with the subconscious mind with any kind of trauma or healing or distress in our lives, because then we're getting at the root of it. It's not like, oh, let's put a little quick glue on this foundation and maybe that'll fix it. Maybe that'll fix the cracks. It's like, no, let's just get rid of the whole foundation, put in a new one, and then, we're going to see some changes. That's kind of like what hypnotherapy does. Yeah.
And you're available, right, Suzanne, for
Yes.
services in this way?
Yes.
Like, is it through Women for Success, or do you have a website?
I don't have a website yet, but yeah, like through Women for Success. That's a good question, Nan, because I've been kind of hemming and hawing about having a website, and I need to do it. And yeah, I really need to do it.
Yes, imagine all the people who will be benefiting. So
Yeah.
Well, for at least I think we should put the Suzanne's service description on our website. Our website has a related business. Currently, only Akiko's, the team member, she's here right now. Total bag is listed in a business, but we are planning to list more stuff. Suzanne's service and in her book, she also should be included in the website. So yeah, we've been working on it.
Yeah,
that's beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
But anyway, yeah, that's my take on, why it is so valuable to work with the subconscious mind. Because if we're only like, I am not disrespecting counseling or anything like that. It's wonderful. And it can take years and years to finally get through to the root of why this situation is happening for this person, like why this trauma happened or why this trauma is affecting them in the way it does. And in hypnotherapy, you can, like what might take 2 or 3 years in counseling, you can work through in 5 sessions of hypnotherapy. Really.
So valuable. Yes. And I'm understanding and I'm learning a bit about it through the metaphysical school that I'm going to, metaphysical science. Yeah. University of Metaphysical Science. So yes, I can see that it is a very valuable type of therapy. Thank you, Suzanne, for explaining that, because it's so important to understand it and to know that there is help available. You can help people. Yes. So yeah, so I just wanted to say one more thing before closing up, and I wanted to say a quote. But the seventh thing that I came up with was books. Like, you can search online, also do an online search for books on PTSD, and even on suicide prevention, and even on depression. I know Anne spoke about that, started to speak about that a few weeks back. And just solutions, reading books that are solution oriented. I wouldn't be able to give you exact examples right this second. I'll do more research and I'll find out. But somebody gifted me a book years ago, which I really love. And it's called Women Who Run with the Wolves. And it's a poetic, it talks about dreams, which is part of the subconscious mind. And it's poetic in how it talks sometimes, and it has metaphors. And what's beautiful about it is that when we're spoken to in this language, it really does reach deep down into our souls, and it touches us in ways like nothing else can. So I really wanted to share one quote. There's many quotes, and it's a great book. I recommend it. But yeah, and then after I do the quote, I really would love to invite Suzanne, if you would like to lead us out of the, with the 5-minute meditation and affirmations. That would be a wonderful blessing. Yes, thank you. So here I will start. And this particular quote is in reference to a river. She speaks about a river, and she speaks about This river has to do with life. It's like a river of life. It's like a river of love. It's a river of creativity. And so what happens is, what can happen along our journey when we're in a less than desirable situation, what can happen is what do you do if that river stops or gets polluted? So this is the quote. It goes, be wild. That's how to clear the river. The river does not flow polluted. We manage that. The river does not dry up. We block it. If we want to allow the river its freedom, then we have to allow our ideational lives to be let loose, to stream, letting anything to come, initially censoring nothing. That is creative life. It is made up of divine paradox. To create, one must be willing to be stone stupid, sit on a throne atop a jackass, spilling rubies from our mouths. Then the river will flow. Then we can stand in the stream, in the pouring rain. So yeah, so I want to thank you all for attending, and I hope it helps in some ways, or can help others who you might know. And so, yes, Suzanne, would you please do us the honors of a nice meditation that we can take away with us?
Sure. This is going to be, I just want to preface it with, this will be a very simple meditation. I'm doing that on purpose or purposefully so that each one of you can reference some point in this visualization that really stands out to you. It will be different for each of you. And at any time during the day, or if you find yourself getting into that mood of, like frustrated or depressed, or I'm stuck, or which can be also a sign of PTSD. All you have to do, it will be right in your mind. And all you have to do is reference that, and the whole sense of what you felt in this session will come back to you. And that will be your tool. It will be different for each of you, but that's going to be your tool to, go within, like to help yourself and to comfort yourself. Okay, so make sure that you're comfortable, that you're not stressed at all. And I'd like everyone to close your eyes for a moment and just begin to notice your breath. You don't have to change how you're breathing, but just notice that you are breathing. In and out, and notice as you breathe that with every breath, it's just a little bit more full. A little bit on the inhale and exhaling fully. A little more, very, very fully. And a little more inhaling and exhaling fully. And as you begin to silence yourself with your breath, just allow your in-breath to take you inside your body to that part of you in your chest. It might be in your lungs. It might be in your heart. That part of you that feels, there's a part of you in that area that feels very safe. And it might only be a little space, a tiny, tiny space. I'd like you to breathe into that space, in your heart, maybe your lungs, in the middle of your chest. Inhaling into that space and exhaling. And as you exhale, feel that space expand a little more and a little more. Inhaling, just allow it to flow into expansion. And exhaling, feeling that let go and expand a little more. And with every breath you take, you're creating a little bit bigger and a little bit bigger space inside of you, in your chest. And just be with that space and feel how comfortable it is, how relaxing it is, how supportive it is. And as you breathe into that space, I would like you to notice a color that is perhaps now it's like you can almost imagine a small little cave-like room, or a little, almost like maybe a closet space or some little area. And I'd like you to imagine a color, whatever color comes first to your mind. And that color is somehow a very comforting color to you. And just breathe in and allow yourself to be surrounded in this space with this color that is very relaxing to you. It's very comforting to you. You feel supported by this color. And with another deep breath, feeling the softness of that color, the gentleness that it surrounds you with, I'd like you to see more of what this space is. Is it a space with walls? Does it feel like you're in a cloud? Is it a room with windows that's all of this color and you can see to the outside? I'd like you to get a clear picture of what this space is for you and what it feels like. Just notice what you're surrounded with. Is it like a lightness? Is it like a comfortingness that comes from being a little enclosed so that you feel attended to, you feel safe in, that this is your special place? Or perhaps if you're seeing out through some windows, you can see the beauty that is on the outside and feel the comfort that that brings you being inside this room, inside of you. And I'd like you to just take that all in and feel what that feels like. Feel how your skin feels. Feel how your legs feel. Notice if you feel any breeze on your face, or how warm the room is, how comfortable it is. Are you sitting on a soft cushion? Are you sitting on some type of a stool or a bench, or perhaps a very fluffy area? Just allow yourself to see what that is and to be aware of what is surrounding you. Just letting yourself relax into that. And now I'd like you to know and to affirm that this place is your place for you only. This is your special place to come to when you want silence, when you want tranquility, when you want comfort, when you need support. Perhaps it's to feel your creativity. This room is your own space, your special space. And any time you need to access this room or the color that this room is or what you're surrounded by in this room, you can access any and all of it whenever you feel a need to. All you need to do is to sit quietly and take 3 breaths, and you will be able to access this to provide comfort and support to yourself and relaxation to yourself. Now I'd like you to breathe a little more quickly, fully, but more rapidly, becoming aware of the actual space inside your body, of your heart or your lungs, how it's filling with air, how the air on the exhalation leaves through your nose, becoming more and more awake and aware with every breath, knowing that you have your own special place now. And even in your waking state, you can access this place easily and readily. Taking one more deep breath and feeling all the air going into your arms and your legs, your torso, in your head, maybe moving a little bit. One more breath and opening your eyes and being back in the present moment. Enjoying.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Suzanne.
Yes. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. We had a luxury of Suzanne's session last year. You guide us very gently and, with such a nice imagery and stuff. So, yeah. Thank you for suggesting her session. We got the, tiny taste of it. Thank you, Nan. You touched all the parts, like your background and then, the situation that you faced, and you had a definition and you had a solution. So it's packaged really nicely. And I didn't know that avoidance was a part of the PTSD, but of course, like I get some parts that I'm like, you're right. Like I got reminded because, we do certain things and it could be because of PTSD or not, but we should be wondering rather than just like, oh, I don't want to think about it and that's it. So, yeah.
Yes, I agree, Yuko. I agree. Yes. That's a very important point. Yes. Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah.
I would just like to add personally that I feel like we could go with all of those points that you mentioned, Nan. We could spend like a half an hour talking about, almost, or 15 minutes talking about each point. And I would love to have a continuation of this, discussion about PTSD at some point. I'm not saying like next week, but at some point in the future, and going into it a little deeper, because
Yes.
I feel like we all have experienced it to some degree, and or we know somebody who has experienced it.
Thank you very much for coming.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.